So I'm going to introduce, this is the comprehensive plan update meeting, or the public hearing is actually conducted by the Northwest Georgia Regional Commission. I know it's done in our boardroom. This isn't a Pickens County government thing. It's all the governments in Pickens County. So you've got the City of Jasper, Talking Rock, Nelson, and county government. But Ms. Julianne Meadows with Northwest Georgia Regional Commission is going to do the presentation. And I'm going to turn the floor over to you and let you run wild with it.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you to everyone that's here. This is the public hearing on the draft comprehensive plan. And just as Chairman Stansel said, each city and the county have worked together in a process beginning this fall, beginning fall of 2022, with a first public hearing to start the process. Everything that is in the plan is part of a public process. Each community selected stakeholders to represent them during the planning process. There was a community survey that was done starting in November of 2022, and that community survey gathered public input. So the draft that is here today was prepared according to Georgia Department of Community Affairs requirements and actually meets the requirements of the 1989 Georgia Planning Act. This is a required part of local government process. It allows each community, once the plan is adopted, to maintain qualified local government status, eligibility for state loans, grants, and permits for 5 years. So today, with the draft plan, after this public hearing, the plan will be transmitted to Georgia DCA to review. Once they approve it, each community will then adopt the plan. It is a joint plan, just like the chairman said, for Jasper, for City of Nelson, for Talking Rock, and for Pickens County. One plan, but each community has components within the plan that are their own. And each community will need to adopt the plan by resolution once it is approved by DCA. So this is the process that we just went through. Actually, this process started in July of 2022. My apologies. So where we are today is the second public hearing. This, again, meets state planning requirements, but it also gives an opportunity to say, here's the draft, and any comment or questions about it can be answered. One of the components I wanted to highlight is the strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats analysis, or the SWOT, that those stakeholders did in fall and then in February of this year, completing that process to identify what became a list of needs and opportunities for Pickens County, Jasper, Nelson, and Talking Rock. For the strengths, the top results were there's a strong sense of community, there's the natural beauty, and it's close to Atlanta. So you've got people can come up and visit. It's very easy for them to do so. And they can invest in the community through tourism. There's also a lot of interest in that from Atlanta. The weaknesses, okay, lack of water and sewer. There's not water and sewer maybe throughout the county in every area. Lack of community infrastructure. Lack of entertainment for youth. And we do see, in many areas, we do see these are fairly common. So nothing, each community is unique, but sometimes we see these across the board also. Opportunities are for planned development, good planning with the comprehensive plan, with the implementation of that plan, recreational development, conservation developments, and solar. Then the threats were, okay, maybe we're outgrowing the existing infrastructure. And then there's proximity to development. We're seeing development and we're near to that development. You think of maybe the more metro area, and is that development coming too quickly to the area, and the effects on the environment, and then sprawl. With the infrastructure, you always want to balance planned growth with the extension of the infrastructure so that you don't have too much too far out. So these were the comments from the stakeholders that went into the plan. For the community survey, which began in November of 2022, there were 1,100, close to 1,200 responses. Of those, 73% lived in the county, 14% lived in Jasper, and the rest lived in Nelson and Talking Rock. Of the respondents, the majority were ages 35 to 54, so working age population. 18% were ages 18 to 34. 31% were ages 55 to 69, so maybe the working and senior population there. So good representation. For broadband, one of the questions was about broadband coverage, and 64% said it's okay, which of course means the 36% had some need there related to broadband. The strengths, very similar to the SWOT analysis: natural beauty, scenic views, small town atmosphere, sense of community. Weaknesses: loss of natural and agricultural resources as development is occurring, and then water and sewer infrastructure. Future growth: people wanted to see more small businesses, and I think of downtown Jasper, downtown Nelson. I think of Tate, the developments that's happening there, and that success. And then for housing, more workforce housing is needed and desired. So these survey results, we use them for the plan, but they can also help each community inform their decisions as they go forward to implement the plan. These are the future development maps. This is for Pickens County. For Pickens County, there were a few minor changes that were made. One example was for each crossroad community, which is a historic area at the crossroads of one or more major roads. There's a community that developed there. Sometimes there's a store. In Hinton, there's the Feed and Seed store. So we combine those into one overall category, but each retains its unique character. And then for Jasper, we added the arterial. Before the Highway 515, that was one commercial corridor. So what Jasper asked to do was to show the area that's within its city limits, and then the county area is in gray. So just a few minor changes to the previous plan. Each community has its own map, a future development map of character areas, and the character areas are broad. They can be applied to a specific area. When you have a zoning analysis, often you'll reference the future development map in that process, and how does it line up with that future development map. For Jasper, for Nelson, and for Talking Rock, each community has its own unique character areas that are showing how that community wants to preserve and to grow its resources. The comprehensive plan also takes a look back at the previous 5 years, so 2018 to 2022. What did we accomplish? What is underway? What did we need to postpone? And then what did we actually need to drop from that work program that's not going to carry forward? For needs and opportunities, that came out of the SWOT analysis, and it also came out of the survey, and it also came out of the discussions with each local government about what their projects would be. So the needs and opportunities match up with each item in the new work program. And the 5-year work program, each community has one of these for this year through the end of 2027. These are the priority projects that the community is going to pursue for economic development, for transportation, for housing, natural and cultural resources, transportation, and intergovernmental coordination. This is just a sample. There's a copy of the draft plan here if anyone would like to look through it. It's also, is this on local government websites?
We haven't yet.
Okay.
We'll wait until after you
After the hearing, it will be. And this is also on the Northwest Georgia Regional Commission website. So let me introduce myself. I'm Julianne Meadows. I work with the Northwest Georgia Regional Commission. We serve the 15 counties of Northwest Georgia, and we provide planning, community and economic development services. We also operate the Area Agency on Aging for the region and the Workforce Investment and Opportunities Program. So we help our communities with the planning process, and we're very glad to be here today. And I want to say thank you to each community, each stakeholder, each member of the community that took that survey and helped us put this plan together. And after this hearing, the plan will be transmitted to Georgia DCA for review. Once they approve it, it will come back to the community. Each community, Nelson, Jasper, Talking Rock, and Pickens County, We'll then need to adopt the plan by resolution before June 30th. So we've got just enough time to get this to DCA, get their review and approval, and come back and adopt it. Mr. Chairman.
Thank you very much. So I know as a public hearing, are you open to questions as people come? One thing, Julianne has been the supervisor. We had to change hands midway through. One of the staff members that has been working on the plan had moved to another regional office, and so she stepped in to kind of finish up. So you kind of got the brains behind the operation that's with us today. So if anyone has any comments, questions that you want to throw out, now would be a good time.
Julianne, you did say that in the process in the next few years and with the plan that we could make adjustments, is that correct?
Yes, I encourage you to go ahead and adopt the plan to meet this upcoming deadline. And then any amendments can be made at any time, and we're glad to help with that. Yes, sir.
Just wanted to make sure that was.
Yes, sir.
Any others? Ms. Julianne, thank you. I know she's had a very busy day. I was with her at lunch. The Northwest Georgia Regional Commission had their monthly meeting, and so she's been all over the North Georgia area. Thank you.
Always enjoy coming up here. It's a beautiful community.
Thank you very much. We appreciate it. So as she stated, we will all provide our letters to Northwest Georgia Regional that allows her to get this submitted to DCA for their approval, and then once they send it back, we can then call the meetings that we all need to as far as adoption and move forward from there. Well, with that, we can say we've had one of the shortest called meetings comprehensive plan update that's ever been hosted. That does give us a break.
I do have a question about the water and the concerns about the water as far as your plan and your development. Is there steps that you take to decide how developments happen in relation to the water sewage situation?
So, and I think we've got each form. I don't know who all we've got represented and who we don't have represented. I can only speak toward Pickens County. I can't speak toward the city of Jasper or any of the others. But anytime someone's submitting an application, especially if it's for a development of a subdivision, that's one of the first things is, are resources available there? Is there enough water pressure? Is there enough to support what goes into that area? It's part of the subdivision application process, and they have to be able to provide to show that the tests were done, to show that there's adequate pressure and available water to do so. In the county, we don't have public sewer, so it's the septic system, and that works through the Board of Health for environmental health. As far as looking at anything to deal with the septic tank and the requirements and what would be permissible and what would not be permissible. The city of Jasper has the infrastructure with sewer service, so they have a different set of processes that they follow when it comes to how that's done. But we do look at that. And if there's a lot of growth in certain areas and infrastructure needs to be upgraded, we do what we can to try to upgrade those lines. That's one of the projects that we'll be discussing in our 5:30 meeting, is approving the expansion of a water line that's allowing for more water pressure to hit an area where there's a lot of building going on. I know that our subdivisions typically are much smaller because they're larger lot subdivisions. So the demand for immediate resources is a little bit slower sometimes than what the city sometimes has to face with larger subdivisions. So I can't really speak on behalf of others, but I can kind of give you just from our perspective, that is the first step that's looked at. And we're constantly looking at new ways to how can we improve the amount of water available, and how can we support the city of Jasper, Talking Rock, Nelson, all three when looking at how do we get more water into the area. We're the only county in the state of Georgia with no major water source. Out of 159, we're the only one that does not have a major river or lake. So we do rely heavily on partnerships with surrounding counties and have agreements with. Hopefully that somewhat answers.
I guess, well, we were told that there was a development that was approved, I think, in 2018, and it was behind the hospital. And I think that was kind of tabled because of the water infrastructure
Right.
situation. Do you know where that stands?
It's not a county development, so that would be
Awesome.
to get to a city meeting if you have a question, or to speak with someone there, maybe not in a meeting, but you can email and ask them for updates, but that's not an area that we cover
Okay.
right
I
there.
just figured it's a water.
Yeah. I mean, we have two different water
Well, it
systems.
seems like
so-
it comes down to one thing, water.
Right. Thank you. All right, well, we will wrap up and adjourn from the called meeting for the public hearing, and then we will go, like I said, at 5:30, we will have our regular meeting, for anyone that wants to stick around, and we'll go through that as well. Thank you for being here.